guys, it's Catherine.
It's Jackie.
You already know the vibes.
Press play. The Industrial Revolution.
The Industrial Revolution began in Great Britain around the 1700s.
Basically, this was a time when the technique of making goods by hand shifted to a more efficient and automated process. The reason why the Industrial Revolution began in Great Britain was because it possessed numerous natural resources, which include coal, iron, tin, and lead. And along with the geography, this inevitably gave them the ability to sustain such a large movement.
And of course, the geography of Great Britain would allow them to become successful during the Industrial Revolution. And this was mainly due to the fact that it was an island. And because it was an island, this meant that they had a lot of natural harbors that they could use to their advantage to increase the amount of imports and exports in and out of the country.
I'm trying to export out of the high school. Before we can begin discussing the after effects and social changes brought on by the Industrial Revolution, we must first talk about what triggered the start of it.
Next up, the Agrarian Revolution.
The Agrarian Revolution was a movement away from rural living. This meant that changes and developments in farming technology led to people leaving their farms because they were no longer needed in the field.
Such technology that was developed during this time period includes a seed drill, fertilizer, and the cast iron plow. The method of an efficient crop rotation system was also put in effect. Before this new field system, a three-field crop rotation system was the primary method of farming. This meant that the land was divided into thirds, and 2/3 were left to cultivation, and the remaining third was a fallow or empty.
The new method created was called the four-field system, in which the land was now divided into fourths, and all the land was utilized. This was possible because in some fields, plants that would give nutrition back to the soil were planted. This allowed farmers to increase the amount of food production, as well as introduce new crops to society. The crops that provided the nutrition included turnips and clovers.
The creation of enclosures and the process of selective breeding also allowed for the increase of food production. For example, big cow plus big cow equals bigger cow. Because of the increase of food production, there was also rapid population growth. Since there was more food available, people were able to have a better diet and ultimately able to live longer. I stuttered, but still got it!
Because of advancements made during the Agrarian Revolution, people began creating simple machines to improve common works in the city. Some innovations created during this time include the steam engine, invented by Thomas Savery and then later improved by James Watt. Then came the spinning jenny, invented by James Hargreaves, and lastly, the cotton gin, created by Eli Whitney. These innovations greatly contributed to the textile industry.
People who worked in this area were now able to spin thread and weave clothing more efficiently in their own homes. Once it was being mass-produced, workers moved out from working in their homes to working in factories. This was when the factory system was born.
The factory system.
The working conditions in the factory system were considered to be poor and substandard. Contrary to the belief that women do not work and often stay at home doing typical chores, they also worked with men in the factories working 12 to 16 hours a day. The conditions in the workplace were not often clean or properly ventilated. Since the machines in the factories were recently produced, safety precautions regarding human use of the machines were not taken into consideration, so the work was dangerous. A popular issue concerning factory work was the exploitation of children for cheap labor in the factories. The children also endured the long work days and dangerous conditions, as well as extremely low pay compared to adults working in the same field.
The formation of labor unions was used to battle against poor conditions and low pay. Some reforms that were passed to regulate these situations were the Factory Act of 1833. This act stated that children under the age of 9 were not allowed to work. The Mines Act of 1842. This prevented women and children from working in the mines. and to eliminate the chance of factories abusing the labor of children, the government would eventually pass laws to set minimum wage and to completely end child labor.
Because of the changes made by labor unions and reforms, the standard of living for the majority of the Europeans was improving. Although in the early stages of the Industrial Revolution, the living and working conditions were difficult and harsh, the after effects of a booming economy allowed people to have enough money to pay for luxury goods. This created an environment in which they were able to live more comfortably.
And now, for a brief breakfast break. Please enjoy this video of one of our most loved celebrities. Prior to the Industrial Revolution, most European nations followed a policy of mercantilism, where government regulations were necessary in order to balance trade. The growth of industries led to the idea of laissez-faire economics, also known as a market economy. A laissez-faire economy meant that there was zero government involvement in the economy, and this allowed for private businesses to be owned by individuals, which would inevitably create new job opportunities. The Industrial Revolution also paved way to other numerous advancements, such as improvements in communication, transportation, and banking.